You know, if you're a hip hop head like I am, New York, that's a real thing. It's lifestyle. These days, I don't really connect to it like I used to because I don't relate to, hip hop like I used to, in the 90s and such. But with this concept of Pisces in the 12th house, conceptualization of the self, if you look at the algorithm or the style of hip hop in and of itself, it's all about the Aries and Pisces cusp. And that is you declaring what your concept of yourself is or how you conceptualize yourself against how others are conceptualizing you. And you're constantly giving that feedback through your music, about yourself and who you say you are, who you believe you are, who you think you are versus the feedback that you have been getting or that somebody else is giving you, through music. I say music because, Pisces is that, it's musical, subconscious programming is more about symbols than it is words. And so, in that art form or that art style, you are using words in order to paint and illustrate symbols that are relatable, images or painting a picture that is relatable. And so, in the same way, the programming in society that's running through the media, politics, headlines, propaganda, podcasts, and so on and so forth. Right now, Benjamin Netanyahu paying, they're literally paying influencers between $7,000 to $9,000, to make posts and propaganda about, themselves, bigging themselves up, the concept of themselves, okay, to be accepted as an ideal of their I am, okay, and it's up to us always to select or reject, what we're hearing, the program that's running, what we believe about it. And the number 7 through Pisces and Neptune, that is to use knowledge against the noise, against the illusions, against the confusion, against the delusion, in order to confirm and clarify what is or what is not, to have discernment and understanding, clarification, not to allow yourself to be misled or led astray, not to allow yourself to believe a lie. And the only way not to believe a lie is to confirm the truth, okay? And so where is the truth always at if it has to be confirmed or recovered? Scorpio, you got it. That's where it's at. And where the fuck is Mercury at? It's in Scorpio, okay? Recovering the truth. Understand that. So we know what the instructions are right now. The instructions are get to the truth. Find out what the truth is for yourself. It's not somebody else's job. It's not somebody else's responsibility to know the story, to know the truth, to verify it, to declare it, to uncover it, okay? To get the evidence and proof of what it is that you're believing or not, of what you co-signing or what you in your ignorance or me and my ignorance can be doing of harm and damage because of our ignorance, okay? Because we, the human, we like to lean into the bliss of our ignorance and do considerable damage and then say, I didn't mean it. I meant well. I was trying to. I only wanted to. I only was trying to. You can say that shit for the fucking birds. Save it for the birds. What did you do to make sure that you're not acting out of ignorance? What did you do to make sure that you're not in a place of ignorance? Did you research? Did you confirm? Did you examine? Did you go into the depth of it? Did you make effort to really understand and know what is happening, what is going on? And that's our responsibility. Programming is being done to get to the Pisces and 12th house heaven of every individual in this society. And not only collectively, but on an individual basis in your life, you will find the same thing if you look down memory lane. A lot of your recent experiences over the past, say, 5 years has been about selection of programming and propaganda, even from family dynamics, relationships with intimate partners, jobs and careers and business, okay? You had to clear up a lot of what is my concept and what is their concept? What did I identify with and select and choose as being the truth of me? And what did I just simply fall into as a belief that I have accepted? And the cognitive dissonance, the confusion, the lack of fulfillment, the depression that falls me off of a cliff because I've become so misaligned with myself and living out for somebody else's happiness or somebody else's ideal concept of me, so that I could escape okay, the inevitable fate of rejection and isolation. Was it worth it? Was it really worth it? So a lot of what I'm saying is going to have to do with this. Listen up, listen close. Let's see if we can find the clues to really make it make sense for ourselves. And if you learn something, share it. Share what you learn. Share the video. Listen to it with your family and your loved ones. Have the discussion. Help somebody else out. Pass it along. Don't be selfish with what benefits you. If it benefits you, it benefits somebody else. A lot of these things I'm going over, many people charge for this shit. Many people ask for money for these things. Many people, put a price tag up, GoFundMe, PayPal, and not GoFundMe, PayPal and Cash App and everything else when they're giving information. Okay, I'm giving y'all information that you could use as an expression of my sincerity, what it is that I believe in doing. All right, and you're not getting charged for it. You're not getting charged for it. You can come here every day and listen to the videos you're not getting charged for. I am not monetized. I do not get paid to do this. But I'm here because this is what I believe in. So I say that to say, be grateful. You know what I'm saying? That somebody, has, be grateful that somebody's willing to share from a sincere space rather than from greed. And the best way we could be grateful is to remember that you should probably do the same thing sometimes, for other people. You know what I mean? So anyway. All right. So let's go into Pisces. The ideal, the concept, the vision. Pisces has a mantra, I believe. This mantra, I believe. Now, you already possibly had a listen at the I am expression. And I want to talk about I believe because this is part of the context of where we're at. The merging of the two realities or bodies of ourself with Aries and Pisces in transits. Identity, concept of identity, guilt, shame, what we're holding on in the back of our mind, imagination, Saturn, closing up its lessons in Pisces. We want to get this right. And getting it right means we want to understand the intent and how to align with the intent that's here in our favor. These are not energies that are working against us. These are not energies that want to do harm to us. These are not woe is me misfortunes. Everything that happens, everything that takes place, it is in our favor. It is serving us if we let it. All right. Let's check out Pisces. Like I said before, you want to get your natal birth chart and follow along. So you can personalize it to yourself. I encourage you to schedule for a natal birth chart inquiry or reading so that you can get the specifics, the details of the specifics, so the understanding is crystal clear. It serves for confidence. It serves for clarity. And with that, you can move mountains. So don't hesitate, to schedule if you need to. And let me put this out there. I don't turn anybody away. I turn no one away. So regardless of what uh, you may expect, that may consist of you. I don't turn anybody away. We figure out a way to where the service can be done, because the most important thing is the understanding. I turn no one away, and I take my time with every person. So anyway, Pisces, you want to look at Pisces, and you also want to look at your 12th house for this. Stelliums, aspects, so on and so forth. Those are different stories than what I'm about to go over. I'm going over the general. And listen, I'm going to use myself to explain this. I'm a Leo rising, okay? I'm a Gemini sun, Leo rising. So me being a Leo ascendant, my chart is arranged in a very specific way, just like yours is, but I'm going to use myself to explain it, all right? So you're going to have to convert the concept to yourself. Now, Pisces, the word I want to use to allow this to be more universal is concept. Concept. Now, if you notice, I'm going backwards. We started with Aries, and now I'm going back to Pisces, and I'm doing this because we have the retrograde at Pisces, and this is an insight that we need behind the identity. Where did the identity come from? Where did the realization of the identity come from? How do we get to where I know, think, believe, or conceptualize who I am? Where did it come from? It came from Pisces. For those of you out there who have gotten, sessions or readings with me, 9 times out of 10, unless I see reason to take a different approach, I usually start with your 12th house when I read your chart. Because that is the backstory. That's from whence you came. That's my starting point. Because I want to know, what are you the essence of? What are you the essence of? Your 12th house is what you are the essence of in your own mind, in your spirit. Pisces is where you recall that you are the essence of something as a concept. It is your memory of God, the oneness with God that you are. In that memory, we can often distance ourselves or disconnect ourselves from the obligations and forms of this life. And when I say forms, I mean that which consists of deadlines, times, obligations, commitments, orders, obedience, discipline, structure, commitment if I didn't mention it. All of the Capricorn energies, forms, Saturnian expressions in life. It is not natural to our being. The Saturnian concepts of life is part of the expression of the breaking from eternity into infinity. That is Saturn, which split the timeline or the time continuum from the heavens, subjecting us to the time continuum. And for that reason, if we are to manifest or to be, it must be through the time continuum or Saturn. This is why discipline, order, structure, and form is the part of transferring conceptualization into actualization or being. Saturn. That shit sound good. I like your ideas. You got all these dreams. You walking around following somebody. I'm going to be this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do this. Your imagination sounds beautiful and vivid. But nigga, when you gonna get that shit started? When you gonna crack it open? Bust a move, nigga. Bust a motherfucking move. What you gonna do about it? Do you have a plan? Do you believe what you're saying? What's the scope? What are the numbers? What are the figures? What's the timeline? The concept has to match in pair with mathematics. Saturn is the mathematics that conceptualization must be in alignment or agreement with in order to manifest into reality. And uniquely, this does explain or express the junction or conjunction that is of Neptune and Saturn. Neptune is the impulse of that conceptualization, idealization, visualization. And Saturn indicates the mathematics that must be in agreement with such ideals if it is to be realistic within the time continuum or Earth density. Do we understand? So when we look at Pisces and Saturn, when we look at Pisces and Aries as a neighboring territory, when we look at it as a place of transfer of energy, it is mathematics that has to transfer that. It can only be transferred through mathematics. Without mathematics, you're just talking. Without mathematics, you're dreaming. You're delusional. Now, mathematics can also go with geometry. As you know, all mathematics. And when I say mathematics, this is also consistent with what do the laws of physics say about this idea. Your ideals or your concept, Pisces, it must be in agreement with the laws of physics if it is to be. If it is to come into the material realm as an expression. If it is to take form. If it is to manifest into our dense reality. This is the case in all transcendence of who we are. As ideas. As spoken words. As you, the physical person, coming from the essence out of the blood, Pisces representing blood or ferrous phosphate, coming out of the blood into actualization of dense flesh, accumulation of cells based on the concept of DNA information data, which is consistent with mathematics, and the mathematics or geometry of your physical anatomy. Those details biochemically are informed by your first house, which is ruled by Aries. So that again is geometry, mathematics, science, okay, which is all of the same thing, which is physics, laws of physics. So Pisces is prior to subjugation to the laws of physics. It is also when, after Aquarius, it returns back to a release from subjugation to the laws of physics. So Pisces is where the laws of physics begin, and it's where the laws of physics ends, all in one. It is the beginning and the ending. Now, conceptualization or concept, okay, based on the mantra, I believe, Pisces. Saturn is giving us a review of where our consent is at with what we select as beliefs, with what we choose as beliefs or concepts of ourself. These beliefs and concepts of ourself can be seeded into our mind. It can be seeded into our mind by a response or reaction that someone gives to what we do, say, or to our existence in and of itself. Oh, so-and-so didn't call me back. Maybe she ain't feeling me. I must not be a good person, or I must not be so attractive or desirable. Suggesting an idea, but it is my consent that I accept or reject an idea, or that I claim an idea is true or not. That's on me. It's not on the other person. It's on me, whether or not that's what I decide. I tried for this job. Oh, I put in an application. I went to the interview. I shook hands and did this and did that. Oh, they ain't give me no call back. Well, maybe I'm not qualified. Maybe I'm just, not that, a good candidate. Maybe I got to go back to school and do this and do that. The imagination can run wild with all of these different possibilities and concepts of the self based on the feedback and its seeds, beliefs about yourself. And we have to realize that there is a checkpoint. You have authority to choose and select particular thoughts, views, beliefs, opinions, and perspectives. You can select these things. Those are things that are in the essence of the heavens. They are in the heavens. But before they descend down into the earth, they have to check with you, get your authorization to take manifestation into the flesh realm or the earth. Pisces is your heaven. That is your heaven. And you are the Lord of your heaven. And all of these different beings and energies and expressions of the eternal concept of life, the eternal concept of light, the eternal concepts of darkness. These concepts of light and of darkness, of truth and of falsehoods, they fight for your consent to take form and descend down into the earth realm through you, the one who brings the essence into existence into the material earth realm. It comes through you. This is the axis of the 12th and 6th house, for example. The 12th house is where the impulses or non-material energies of your heaven, dark forces and light, beauty and ugly, truth and falsehood, death and life, they ask your permission to leave the essence and come into the dense material realm. You're the one who gives consent for these impulses or energies of your 12th house to take form and expression in the 6th house, which is your daily habits and routines. If I give an example, I use this example quite often. Let's look at greed, for example. Okay? Just like there are the 7 sins and the 7 virtues, that is what takes place in the 12th house. 7 sins, 7 virtues. For example, the 7 sins of the 12th house in Pisces, which have ranges, it has degrees, it has frequencies, okay? In light and in darkness. Pride, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, and sloth. They have different variations of the same principle. Understand this. And each planet governs, rules, or expresses the impulse of these 7 sins in shadow, in detriment of the 12th house. So when you have a planet or aspect in the 12th house, your first 29 and a half years, you are subjected to the shadow expression of these energy forces until your illumination or revelation brings light to these impulses through illumination of understanding and truth. And then it becomes the 7 virtues instead of the 7 sins. It takes an opposite effect. So if you think of a ball or a globe as a planet, one side is always going to be illuminated and one side is always going to have a shadow. That is to everything in life. There is nothing in life that does not carry that conceptualization, because the blueprint or foundation of conceptualization are the planets and signs in and of themselves. Every religion, Every theology, every gnosis is founded upon astrology. Astrology is first. It is the foundation, it is the basis, it is the origin of gnosis, of theology, of religion, of spirituality, of sciences, of all ranges of intelligence and measures. Understand? So, the 7 virtues are humility, generosity, patience, kindness, chastity, temperance, and diligence. Okay? These are concepts. These are concepts that express themselves as impulses through planets. When they are in Pisces or the 12th house, they remain as conceptualized impulses. They are impulses that suggest to you concepts of association to your identity, concepts of association to your desire. Okay? Identity and desire. That is the polarity of the 1st house and 7th house, or the self and others, or the self and that which is outside of the self, whose ruling lords or lordess is Mars and Venus. The natural polarity of man and woman, divine masculine, divine feminine, they read to these 2 impulses of the self, and they wish to suggest to you conceptualization and identifying with these energies. When we identify with the sin, the 7 sins, we conceptualize ownership and association with that expression within the self as an impulse. And the impulse has to find form and expression within the material realm. But the first checkpoint is our consent of that conceptualization. Understand? Now, when there are aspects such as trines and sextiles, these are angelic forces that suggest to the neutral impulse of shadow and light of each one of these planets in the 12th house of Pisces. Angelic forces are not yet subject to the laws of physics. Once an energy or consciousness is subject to the laws of physics, it now transfers to the territory and dominion of what is called orishas, or forces of nature. Please write that down, orishas. O-R-I-S-H-A, orishas, or forces of nature. That is what planets are. Okay? In biblical terms, they are called the Elohim. The Elohim. Now, do not stop at what I'm telling you. Take the due diligence and personal responsibility to personally do a deep dive and research of all of these details that I'm giving you. We have Mercury in Scorpio, so now is the time where you are facilitated to dive deep into matters. Understand? Now anyway, back to the drawing board. When you are born, those impulses of the 12th house suggest what came through the blood, what entered your conceptualization through the reading of the biochemical composition of the self. According to the biochemical composition of the self, it suggests a concept not only of your physical features, but of your expressions, of your ideas, of your natural impulses and inclinations, and also of your emotional signature. Now, concepts as impulses are neither good nor bad. And I will show you how what I just explained suggests that. No planet is good nor bad. It has shadow and it has illumination. So the shadow and the illumination of said planetary impulses of your 12th house, or if you don't have that, it is simply the spiritual algorithm of the zodiac sign of your 12th house. Okay? So, if planets are in your blood, it is an impulse of both the illumination and the shadow of that planetary energy. The illumination is not something that you directly access in your expressions, except by positive aspect, which in actuality is by angelic protection and guidance. So if you have a trine or a sextile, for example, to a planetary impulse or expression in your chart, especially the 12th house, that is an angelic protection and guidance that is insisting on the utilization of that impulse in the image and likeness of the Heavenly Father, okay, or Heavenly Mother, if you want to say that as well, okay. So it's what keeps you utilizing that impulse in a heavenly fashion, in a righteous fashion, in the illumination of that planet and not in shadow. Remember that angels are made of light in the same way that we are made of clay, okay? The composition of angels are light. Therefore, illumination is what they cast up on the planet so that the shadows do not become impulses that are suggested to you from that planet. Now, if you don't have those aspects to planets, you begin with the shadow of that planet until you illuminate the planet through experience, education, revelation, and understanding in life, okay? This usually doesn't crack until after the 29th and a half year, which is your Saturn return. When you have your Saturn return, you have inherited authorization in all 12 territories and or houses and dominions of the zodiac sign, chart, or wheel, okay? And that is part of you being authorized to utilize those powers and forces in a constructive manner, which authority moves power with justice. Without authority, you do not have the ability to move power with justice. It becomes destructive and it becomes oppressive. Understand that. The destruction and oppression is first upon the self, which has us to personalize the meaning and value of the impulses of the 12th house. And if you don't have planets, to personalize the shadow algorithm of the 12th house. When we personalize those painful and revealing experiences, later on, when we bring illumination to it, it becomes understanding. And understanding becomes compassion. Compassion and understanding are twins. They are one and the same expression of the dominion of love. And for that reason, your compassion and your understanding is specified to that which you yourself has suffered when you see it in other people. And that is why the 12th house is a spiritual gift. It is a spiritual force, but it starts with you suffering in order to access the competence with that spiritual gift, force, compassion, and understanding by degrees. Understand? So, with me explaining those 7 sins and 7 virtues, okay? That's the basis of the range of shadow and light, of fear and courage, of illumination and lack of illumination, of love and lack of love that we will experience from Pisces and the 12th house. Now, what does conceptualization have to do with this? It has to do with the fact that Pisces is the basis of how we realize the concept of Aries in the first house. Okay? For example, I'm a Leo rising, and I'm using myself as an example. Pisces conceptualizes 12th house Cancer as the identity of Leo. Okay? It conceptualizes it. So the conceptualization of Leo is Cancer. Or I could even say that in reverse. The conceptualization of Cancer is Leo. The conceptualization of Leo is Cancer. Okay? Now, how is the conceptualization of Cancer expressed as Leo? I'll give you an example. The 4th house and the 5th house is Cancer and Leo. The 4th house ruled by Cancer, the 5th house ruled by Leo. The 4th house is the concept of the inner child. The concept of the inner child is how we facilitate self-advocacy, self-love, self-respect, self-nurturing, self-awareness, our conscience, our judgment of good, bad, right, and wrong, our capacity to care, sympathize, and empathize with others, our power of intuition to find and identify the pain, sufferings, and strugglings of others. That is a concept. But the expression of that conceptualization, the expression of that concept, it has to be through Leo. Leo, or the 5th house, is the expression of the inner child. The 4th house is the essence of the inner child. The 5th house is the expression of the inner child. With the 5th house being the expression of the inner child, it has to be through fire, creativity, coming into existence. It also has to come from the heart center. The heart center as an expression. So Leo representing the 5th house, its expression is a concept of Cancer. What is the will, the hidden motive of Leo? It is Cancer. I want to be the one who expresses generosity to others. I want to be the source of protection, advocacy, and guidance. I want those who are weak and meek to consult me for protection, security, and preservation. I want to share wealth, abundance, and security. Everything that Leo expresses is a fulfillment of Cancer. That is to take the concept of Cancer and to give it form. To take the concept of Cancer and give it a body. To take the concept of Cancer and give it actualization into existence. To subject the ideal of Cancer to mathematics and geometry. And it looks like Leo. It sounds like Leo. It feels like Leo. When you are with a Leo, you are really with the essence of Cancer. You are with a conceptualized manifestation of Cancer when you are with a Leo. So, Pisces is a concept, is a conceptualized value, conceptualized essence, or let me say this correctly, Aries is a conceptualized essence of Pisces, okay? Forgive me if I said that in opposite directions, okay? But I think that I'm at least giving a starting point, fresh, from the heart, where I think we can clarify this, okay? So, if I'm reading my intuition clear enough, okay, that would make Aries the conceptualized expression of Pisces, okay? That would make Leo the conceptualized expression of the 12th house Cancer, okay? A conceptualized expression, that which has come into being as form, as an expression, as an image, and as a mathematical agreement to the subjugation to the laws of physics, okay? Now, when you look at a Leo, Leos are built a certain way. Their physical anatomy, their physical features, it reads confidence. It reads certainty. It reads a person who feels secure in their self. It reads a person who is not under threat. It reads a person who is courageous, bold, or possibly fearless. It reads a person who is consistent and steady. It reads a person who is always calm in the storm. Why does a Leo read these physical features? They read these physical features because the feedback of these features, it returns back to Cancer fulfilled. So when you read these physical features of a person, it answers to the Cancer expectations in other persons, which is, I need confidence, I need security, I need certainty and clarity, I need to stabilize and be steady, I need confidence and resilience, I need a defender and a protector, I need a hero, okay? So that goes to the Leo image and repertoire. It goes to the aura and the demeanor of the Leo. So it's like looking in a mirror in the spirit or essence, and it takes shape and form in the physical, feeding back to the meaning through form. Okay? Feeding back to the meaning through form. All right? Now, this also is consistent with your 12th house and your 6th house. So if you look at the sign energy or aspects, planetary impulses of 12th and 6th house, you will get the same, you will see the same understanding and consistency. Okay? Now, I conceptualize, okay, Pisces 8th house. I conceptualize, okay, remember this is my personal explanation so that you can convert it to how you relate to your own chart, okay? I'm a Leo rising, therefore Pisces is at the 8th house, all right? Now, Pisces, 8th house. I conceptualize Pisces, regeneration, resilience, empowerment, mutual trust, resurrection, transparency, personal empowerment, resilience, boldness, disillusionment, harsh realities, the faces of death, overcoming, transmutation, trustworthiness, loyalty, self-preservation and regeneration. This is what the Leo conceptualizes. This is what the Leo conceptualizes. These are the principles through the Scorpio algorithm, 8th house, that the Leo conceptualizes as essence. That is the spirit essence of Leo, is 8th house Pisces. The spirit essence of a Leo. If you want to make a Leo, you have to begin with this spirit essence. So I conceptualize regeneration or resilience through 12th house Cancer, which is receptivity to self-care. I'm not even going to say self, to receptivity to care, nurturing, advocacy, compassion, intuitive empathy, protection, guardianship, the matriarchal foundation of moral law, moral consistency, moral alignment. I conceptualize regeneration, resilience, trustworthiness through 12th house Cancer. And I'm saying 12th house because it's territory of Pisces. And for Leo rising, it is Cancer. Okay, stay with me. I conceptualize 8th house Pisces, which is trustworthiness, regeneration, transparency, loyalty through 12th house Cancer, which is to manifest the concept or to embody the concept of obedience and compliance to the conscience, obedience and compliance to the matriarchal law, obedience and compliance to the inner child. Now, what does obedience and compliance to matriarchal law in the inner child, what does that reflect in the Leo? Leos are always consistent with who they are. They don't change. They are fixed. This is what makes a Leo fixed, is that it holds obedience to the matriarchal law. It holds obedience to the inner child, its own inner child, which is, I will not betray myself. I will not go astray from myself. A Leo will not betray itself, which is why they are always the same person. They are the epitome of authenticity. They are real. I won't say as real as it could get, because that goes with Scorpio too. Scorpio is real. That goes with Taurus too. They are real. That goes with Aquarius too. They are real. These are the fixed signs. And they are fixed because of their commitment and devotion, their allegiance and loyalty to their inner child. That is the fixed point of realness and authenticity. That is what realness and authenticity means. That's where it originates at. Are you true to your inner child? That is the only thing that makes you real. So this is how it manifests into the outward expression in physical reality and subjugation to the laws of physics and mathematics. Now, as I mentioned before, in case I didn't, when you investigate Orishas, Orishas are not the same as angels. Angels are prior to subjugation to the laws of physics. Excuse me, I said that the wrong way. Angels are prior to subjugation to the laws of physics. Orishas are receptors of that which begins with subjugation to the laws of physics. That's the difference. Orishas, laws of physics. Angels, illumination. Illumination. And that is why Orishas are of impulse. They are of impulse energies. Okay? Now, with all that I'm saying, this is how subconscious programming works and how it manifests into our character and image. All right? And I like to use realistic things. Realistic things. If you grew up in the so-called black community, for example, I'm just taking my experience and making sure you can relate, okay? Now, in a black community, the conceptualization of the image of males, of boys, okay? It's seeded, it's infiltrated by media, movies, music, the environment, and especially the feedback of females in the black community, especially. If there has been an ongoing trend for over 40 years, especially since the crack epidemic, when the D-boy began, okay? The D-boy was invented during the crack epidemic. The D-boy. Ever since the Jewish infiltration of hip-hop, starting with NWA, and alongside Dapper Dan, look this up, Dapper Dan, write it down, Dapper Dan, and ever since Dapper Dan gave the modern D-boy or drug dealer an image through his fashion, unique, signature image, this combination became the desirable preference of black American females. And through hip-hop, which we personalize hip-hop as not just something we like or enjoy or express, but it became a way of life, especially out of New York City, where I'm from. It's a way of life. Hip-hop is literally a way of life. And as of lately, it might not make sense, with mumble rappers and, these rappers talking about drugs and all this. It's a lot of stupidity in rap these days. But if you go back to, the 80s and the 90s, the messaging in hip hop, you could understand why I would say that. Okay, the brilliance. And so anyway, the seed is always planted before we become self-aware that the concept of ourself should be informed by programming. Pisces is where how we relate to art, poetry, beauty, matters that feed our imagination, our visualization, brings us up in a rapture, anything that has the capacity to become a place of escape or addiction, such as music, okay, and pleasures, things of that nature, and beauty. It becomes a means by which infiltration can take place from those same agencies. So music has a direct access to your Pisces expressions in 12th house. So does art, so does beauty, so does anything of Venus expressions or Venus themes. Okay, especially sex and drugs, and food. Okay, we escape through these things. Now, when you get the feedback that the way you dress culturally, nobody fucking with you if you buy these certain type of sneakers or shoes. Nobody fucking with you if you put on a certain kind of outfit, okay? Image has been so important in the black community where even if you live in the projects, you live in a neighborhood ridden with drugs, violence, and poverty, you still got to walk around with expensive sneakers, jeans, shirts, hats, all kind of stuff that costs ridiculous amounts of money while still in poverty. Buying expensive vehicles that depreciate the moment that you pull off of the car lot, breaking the bank, straining yourself with debt and interest, only to pull it up to the projects, only to pull it up to a fucking trailer, only to pull it up to some, some what do you call it? Adjusted income housing, a miserable situation in the hood, hustling backwards. They have in these communities the same combination: a liquor store that sits right next to the church, a renter center, renter rims or wheels, a Chinese food store, a Chinese restaurant, Chinese beauty supply, City Trends, a fucking low-end grocery store with shit that could kill you in it, a basketball court or playground that's dangerous to even play on because you could get shot any minute playing on that motherfucker. A health clinic, a public health clinic that's always crowded. It's the same fucking combination. Same combination. An abortion clinic. Same combination. In this reality, everything is suggesting to you who you are. It's saying this is who you are. This is what you're about. This is what you believe. This is what you conceptualize. You are the concept of this. You are the concept of that. You see your homeboys doing some street shit. You see the girls doing some prostitute shit. And this is what you begin to identify and select in your mind that it might be who you are. So it's suggesting that this is who you are. So you conceptualize these ideals from this environment as taking ownership of these concepts into yourself, incorporating it into yourself behind the threat of wanting to avoid rejection and isolation. You don't want the feedback of rejection and isolation. Remember, Venus is exalted in Pisces. Therefore, Venus is exalted in the 12th house as well, and Venus is exalted as an authority in how we conceptualize ourselves. Venus is exalted as an authority in how we form the concept of what our identity might be. Venus. Now, if we bring Venus down to earth and subject her to the laws of physics, we find that she is the archetype of the young and attractive adolescent female, or the young female, okay, who still has her beauty, youth, and allure. Pay attention, follow me. Such individuals in society are exalted in Pisces, which suggests that they are also exalted in the imagination of man. A beautiful female is exalted in the imagination of man. So she has irresistible access to his mental programming, to his subconscious programming. So if she says you're lame, or you a fuck nigga, or you broke, you dusty if you don't have this or you don't do that, she is already in your subconscious territory. It's not that she has to gain access to it. She's in it already because of her existence as an exalted authority in Pisces. She's already in your imagination because you're looking at her in lust. You desire her. You like her. You admire her. You looking her up and down. You seeing how beautiful and attractive you are. That's how we as men, that's how we think. And I know every man out there can attest and say that I'm telling the truth. I'm not going to lie to you. This is how we think. We are smitten by the beauty and, lust and attraction of a woman. And that's how she's able to position herself into the subconscious programming and concepts or conceptualization of the self. It's from that leverage. So she's giving the feedback, you don't have Jordans on, so I ain't trying to look at you. You ain't got no expensive $250 sneakers on, so I ain't trying to fuck with you. And the reason I say that is because in the black community, the first place that a female look at is your shoes. That's the first thing they look at is your sneakers. And so black kids become sneakerheads. They become addicted to sneakers because they're trying to be validated and accepted by their female counterpart. They want to feel attractive and desirable. They want to be selected and chosen. Understand? So it start with the sneakers and these ridiculous price shoes. And you can't just have one pair. You got to have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pairs of sneakers. If you go to school and you wear the same pair of jeans 2 times in a week, you have broken a rule. You have violated the law. You are unforgiven in the black community if you wear the same pair of jeans 2 times in the same week. Now imagine the irony that this is coming from people who whose liberal and democratic urban communities tends to reflect a status that is in contradiction to such lofty status and ideals from a financial economic standpoint. You would think that it's hypocrisy. If you go to school and you only got one pair of sneakers, you're frowned upon, you're made fun of, and you're laughed at. If your sneakers are comfortable, but they're not of a certain brand such as Jordans and Nike and all this other stuff, if they're not the latest this or the latest that, it's a problem. You cannot get the attention of black girls unless you break the bank in fashion, unless you are spending ridiculous amounts of money in your appearance, unless you are always up in the mirror perfecting yourself. Your swag, the way you talk, the way you walk, and everything has to be artful about you as a black man for a woman to look at you. You have to be a walking artful concept, a walking expression of poetry and art in all of your being. And that is serious pressure. It's the pressure where your natural impulses are telling you that you are someone else, or you want to do something else, or you want to express yourself in another way. But the fear of rejection, isolation, or not being chosen, or not having access to females, it has you to doubt or question yourself and what is true of your identity. So it poses a blockage to the natural flow of the expression. And what ends up happening after that, you fall into depression because you're not aligned with what is fulfilling to your heart. You fall into cognitive dissonance. You fall into identity crisis because you're not being who you are. You out here being a little hoodlum and a thug, and there's nothing about you that wants to be a thug. You want to love everybody. You want to hug everybody. You want to be friends with everybody. You want to feel the security of bonding with everybody. But they tell you you got to be hardcore, put a scarf around your head, sag your pants, and act like you want to kill somebody every day. That's the only way you get accepted. That's the only way you get love and support, is if you act like that. That's the only way you could get some pussy, is if you walking around here, acting like a drug dealer or some fucking crazed killer. That's the only way black girls will ever look at you or take you serious, is if you are dangerous. You got to be dangerous to be desired by the women. You got to be dangerous for them to respect you or to like you or look at you. You got to be dangerous. If you're not dangerous, nobody respect you in the black community. This has been an ongoing concept since I have been alive. And through the female principle, it's easy to instill this into the imagination or the heaven of young men. And they become socialized into something that they are not. And it leads into a lack of fulfillment, depression, identity crisis, and cognitive dissonance within the expression of the being, because you're living in contradiction to the natural concept of who you actually are. This socialized programming. It is dangerous. It is very dangerous. Understand? So, I think I've made that clear. Now, you want to apply this to yourself and look at what's going on in this timeline concerning Saturn in retrograde, which is walking you through the fact that This is the Heavenly Father asking you from the heaven of Pisces, which is really you. Can I trust you to use your consent when the forces of darkness from your heaven wishes to suggest to you that they should be part of the dominion of your identity as a concept manifested into the physical realm? That they should be able to walk with you in life, that they should be able to express through you and channel through you. Somebody suggesting to you that you are something that you are not. This is how shame tactics happen as well. You can shame somebody into a total contradiction of themselves. Because you laugh at them, because the girls laugh at them, whatever they're laughing at them for, they go home and undo it. I'll show you an example. You got a young man who's proud that he got a job at McDonald's, right? Okay? He's working at McDonald's. It's the best, that he could do for getting a job right now. He wants to make a start. Okay? And we know, flipping burgers and things like that, it ain't going to get you rich, but guess what? You can respect any man that gets up in the morning and goes to work. I don't give a fuck what you're doing. If you get up and go to work, you are worthy of respect as a man. All right? So you got some girls, okay? All the good looking girls have different feedback. All right? All the girls in the hood find, okay, he work at McDonald's. Oh, he a broke nigga. Oh, he dusty. He ain't got no money. Oh, he work a 9 to 5. He work at McDonald's. He lame. So if you're not strong enough and aware of your consent, your power of consent to select the identification with thoughts, select your own identification with thoughts, you allow those thoughts to infiltrate you and suggest to you that you are not worthy of respect, love, and acceptance because you work at McDonald's. Now, let's say that this is a young man, and I'm using real life situations. Let's say this young man just came home from prison, and he's trying to walk the straight and narrow. And when a young man come home from prison, first thing he wanted some pussy. Just keep it honest. All right, let's just keep it a buck. He wants some pussy, right? So the first thing he looking for is a girl, to confide in, to console him. You know what I'm saying? To, as I said, do what he need to do and all this other stuff. That's the first thing he on the hunt for. So he has to align himself to be desirable to, what girls are accessible in his community. So in order to align himself, he has to become desirable. He come home with a clear plastic bag with some documents in it, and some socks, some underwear, and a couple little things. You know what I'm saying? He ain't got shit. So he comes home and he has to stay at his mama house or his grandmother's house. That's how it traditionally goes. Okay, he's at his mama house or grandmother's house. If he didn't come home to a halfway house, he at his mama's house or his grandma's house. Now, with him being there, that's already a strike on his ego. You know what I'm saying? He not standing independent. He don't got a car. He don't got a job. He don't have savings. He don't have money. He has to get up. The pressure is on because I got to get a girl. A girl got to look at me. Now, one thing that is in his favor is the fact that he came home from jail, and black girls love that shit. Okay, they don't give a fuck what you got going on. You came home from jail, you got street cred. They about to fuck the shit out of you and give you 3 babies. I'm just keeping it a buck. It's sad, but that's how the fuck it goes. But anyway, he's saying to himself, I got to I got to upgrade the concept of myself so that I can have some leverage and attraction and a sense of self-confidence and self-esteem, in my reality. So he says that he's going to go to McDonald's or Burger King or Starbucks and get a job, that's within walking range, since he don't have a vehicle. He just came home from prison. Options for jobs or careers they're there, but it's not as abundant as it could be if he didn't have a record. So he either goes, let's say he goes to a construction site, okay? And he starts out as a laborer at a construction site. So he works hard all day, 8 hours or 10 hours a day, making, in this economy, between say 17 and, say 16 and $20, an hour with no experience, okay? And, he's doing justice for himself. He has a fair income, to make progress if he's, frugal, if he's wise, if he's responsible and disciplined. Yes, that's a great start. It's a great beginning. He can respect himself, have some, dignity and hope that he's created for himself. So the feedback comes, right? Where the girls of the community find out, he goes and talk to this girl, or get some numbers and stuff like that, or whatever, get to know somebody, and in the conversation, what do you do? Where do you work at? Yeah, I'm a construction worker. I'm a laborer. Oh, you a laborer? Oh, so you're not like a skilled craftsman or a foreman, or you ain't in charge of nothing, or you don't have your own business. Okay, how much money you make doing that? You know what I'm saying? And so then the ignorance of today's feminist mentality of American females, especially African American females, there is this ignorance can enter his mind if he allows it to identify to be a concept of his own identity, where she gives a feedback of, oh yeah, girl, I talked to this guy, he just came home, but I mean, he looked good and everything, but he work a 9 to 5, he do construction work, he only makes $17 to $20 an hour. Oh, he broke, he dusty. Nah, I ain't trying to fuck with him. Nah, I could do better than that. He got to be making at least 6 figures, so on and so forth. But you look at this fucking Project Bird, this dizzy bitch, and the expectations are ridiculous for who the fuck is talking. You can't look at the fact that he's honest enough and has the integrity to get a job, do what he got to do, and respect himself as he goes and grows. He has to be a millionaire, an entrepreneur, a thousandaire, 6 figures, yada, yada, yada. These females have no identity. They listen to each other on the internet and they copy. They all look the same with these little swirlies on the edge of their fucking heads with wigs. Fucking swirlies. Lashes. BBLs. Fake teeth. All kind of makeup. Drawn on eyebrows and everything else. Hiding from their true identity. Just in a disguise from their true identity. Expressing full out rejection of their natural, true, and authentic features and characteristics of themselves. But the claim is that somebody else is dusty, somebody else is unworthy, somebody else is not desirable, but really it's a projection of what they are saying to themselves, evidently, obviously. And this becomes the programming. So now what ends up happening is this young man, if he selects that thought, he goes back to old ways. Damn, I ain't got no juice. They laughing at me. I'm a laughing stock. I'm out here working, dead end jobs, construction work. I'm only making, $400 $600 a week. I ain't getting nowhere with this. People laughing at me. I got to get a car and I'm broke. I can't get the sneakers I want. I can't buy these ridiculous price outfits so that I can feel desirable, so I can feel accepted and respected, so I can feel honored. So he selects those thoughts and he gets in a rush. He breaks patience. He breaks his vision. He breaks patience and he breaks vision. So now he makes an impulsive decision because he wants to get ahead. He wants to hurry up and get the results. So he called up an old friend. Yo, what to do, cat? What's good, my nigga? Oh, yeah. You just came home? Oh, word? Yeah, you trying to get on? Yeah, trying to get on. You know what I'm saying? Throw me a little something, what's good? Yeah, throw me something, So he go to his homeboy and he get a brick on consignment, flip the brick, come back on a re-up, give him the profit, flip the brick again on a re-up, break his half off, start to see a little breath of hope, showing face in the community, pulling back off of his plugs and, his contacts and everything else. Now he got juice again, feeling strong, looking strong. Money starting to show in his expressions, his his outfits and cars and, all these other things, the clout, the politics that comes with it, the attention, the juice to pull. Now he making noise. And what happens after that? All the girls want you. In a black community, that's how it works. Okay? Black girls love that. Now they can't turn their head away from him. He getting money, he got clout, he got attention. Cars and everything else. But what is he doing to get it? He's selling drugs. He's breaking in houses. He gang down. Pulling heists and robberies. Violence. Terrorizing the community. Poisoning his community. But he get into the bag. And then we look at the modern version of that. He becomes a scammer. These little kids becoming scammers these days more than they are becoming drug dealers. That was my generation. But he becomes a scammer. He's bringing fear, depression, disappointment, and hysteria to innocent people who get up and work every day hard for their money and scamming. Credit card frauds and all kind of other things. But he got money, so black girls love it. So now he's becoming something that he's not. It's not his nature to be that person. But it's the only means that he believes that he can have access to girls that he desires. To get attention and to feel validated, wanted, and accepted, and not have to face the consequences and repercussions of being rejected upon standing true to himself. And this all takes place starting with Pisces. Pisces is where this initiates. And your thoughts and your imagination and your concept of yourself and the thoughts and beliefs that you select and consent to take ownership in and of unto yourself, especially through the agency of Venus archetypes who have greater leverage and authority with how we conceptualize our thoughts and imagination. This can be a dangerous turning point if we are not careful. Shame is powerful. When you consent to subject yourself to the feeling of shame, somebody can very easily control you. You could be controlled if you are easy to shame. You could be controlled if you are out here comparing yourself to other people. It's very easy to control you, because you have not yet controlled the impulse of jealousy and envy. You have not controlled the impulse of self-acceptance or rejection, self-identification. Go through Scorpio to get to the truth, to get to the reality of the concept of self, and ground yourself in that reality, and nobody can ever shame you. Nobody can ever provoke you. Nobody can ever make you jealous. Nobody can ever turn you away from who you are. You have to go through Scorpio to anchor that in the depth of yourself. Let me give an example, okay? In the concept of myself, I should already accept that no matter how attractive I am, there's always a man who's more attractive than me. No matter how intelligent I am, somebody's always more intelligent. No matter how good I am at doing something, somebody could do it better. No matter how good I am at fighting or squaring up with somebody, somebody can knock my ass out. But where my acceptance comes in at is, if I know I'm a good fighter and somebody can knock my ass out, that ain't gonna stop me from fighting the person who can knock my ass out. I'm just gonna have to get knocked out because I ain't gonna be no bitch. Just because you can knock me out don't mean I ain't gonna fight your ass. That's what I choose to identify with. And that's where my acceptance lies. So when we accept the truth of ourselves, we don't have to be disillusioned. You get with a woman and she only with you because of your looks. Looks is going to be the very reason why she cheat on your ass and go with somebody else. But you have to accept that disillusionment before it happens. or else it's gonna crush you. Oh, she all into your look. Oh, you look so good. Oh, you got this nice body. Oh, you do this. You got this swag and yada yada. If these are her reasons, and you're listening to that, you're registering that. You know that that's the only reason that she likes you. You must accept that there are men who dress better than you, who look better than you, who are more sexually appealing and desirable than you are, and eventually you're gonna walk past him when you're holding her hand. And she's going to look at him and notice that. And she's going to look at you and she could realize that she has access to what is better than you as a concept of beauty, as a concept of lust. Look at the word concept. And off she goes. So now you come in from work, she sucking his dick, she bent over the couch by somebody who looked better than you, by somebody who's more attractive than you, who's able to generate more stimulus out of her than you are, because that was the basis on which you accepted her for and she accepted you for. And you knew that. You can't act like you didn't know that. So you have a hard truth to swallow and accept. Nobody can cause you pain if you're real. Nobody can hurt you if you're grounded through Scorpio. And I bring this back to Leo. With Scorpio grounding at the 4th house, a true Leo who's aligned with the expression of what their nature really is, you can't flip them over. You can't make them jealous. You can make them jealous of going to someone else for what you need. And that's because they always want to be the source of your needs, which is not healthy. But it's what Leo is. It's the concept of Cancer. If you need something, I'm here for you. It's a concept of Cancer which manifests its image and expression through Leo. So, selecting what we accept or not as true to our identity. I don't want to overtalk this too much. So, get the conversation started below. Comments, different things like that. Ask your questions. And if it's not long and drawn out, what I'm saying? You got 13 aspects and all this other shit, this planet and that aspect. And, you gotta, get a session with me so I can take my time with you, what I'm saying? And clarify, understand. But if it's general, it's basic, hey, please, let's share, let's express, let's talk. You know what I mean? I'm just going over these 2 placements because it's significant to what we got going on. I may go over Virgo. I may go over Scorpio as well in the same right to explain it. But these are things that we really need to understand. It's very important. And we've got to take command of our concept of ourselves. We have to take command of the airspace in our imagination. We have to understand that thoughts and ideas are selected. We consent to it or not. And there could be suffering behind what we consent to. There could be suffering behind the thoughts that we choose to identify with. And we make the mistake of blaming someone else for what we selected for as a thought or as a belief if it causes pain. And that's not right. You selected that thought. You selected that belief. It hurt you. It gave you pain. And you want to blame somebody else for it. Nope. We got to dig a little bit deeper to understand where the results of our concept of self and what we're feeling and the pain of the self or rejection of the self, isolation of the self, insecurities of the self, where are these things coming from? It all starts with Pisces. It starts with Pisces. That 12th house is full of self-rejection, self-hate, fear. Yeah, intimidation that reads from your own spirit of things that are not even true or things that are simply in shadow, and it only requires illumination. It only requires enlightenment. This is also why when you see somebody who has insecurities about that 12th house, you're going to get the opposite in exaggeration as an expression. And the opposite in exaggeration as an expression, it's a coping mechanism and it's a defense mechanism to not be exposed as having that cosmic or conscious status within the self as a conflict. You have the ability, and I have the ability to love someone back to confidence, love someone back to belief and faith in herself. We could use the power of our tongue, the power of our words to call out the best in a person. And I believe that we should make a habit of doing that. Let's not live a selfish life. Let's get a little less selfish. If you sense and feel that someone is not at the level of confidence that you know they could be at, if they may seem like they're guarding, something about their self that maybe they didn't come to understand, pour water on people, man. Feed people and pour water on them. Give them sunlight. You have the ability to give sunlight to someone to bring the best out of them. And that's what we should do. We should practice and demonstrate love and compassion. You know what I'm saying? Love people back to strength and love people back to confidence. And why wouldn't we want to? Because after all, every one of us want the same thing. We want people to start giving us the feedback that pours in our soul, that enriches us, that makes us recover, that makes us heal, that makes us feel better, that makes us feel like, okay, I could breathe a minute and not be so guarded. You know what I'm saying? When you're in close proximation to somebody, especially when somebody trusts you to stand in close proximation, love the hell out of that person. It don't gotta be personal. It don't gotta be because you getting something back out of the person. Love as an expression of who you say you are. Fuck is you talking about? Love as an expression and confirmation of your ability to witness you being who you say you are. Because no matter what concept of self you are at the first house, every concept is an expression of love. It is an expression of love. That is the height of every zodiacal expression, is love. It is the pinnacle. It is the highest point of expression of every zodiac sign. It is a way of loving. And we have to stop loving, looking for something in fucking return. Love people. Love the fuck out of people. And watch and see if it don't start coming back to you in ways that you can't imagine. Pour life into people. Shine light onto people. Encourage somebody and be sincere about it. Mean what you say. Don't be fake. Mean it. Mean what the fuck you're saying. Say it from the fucking gut. All the way down into the fucking gut. Say it out of there. We got to get this shit started with pushing that energy around. You know what I mean? But anyway, like, share, subscribe, all that, comment. If you need a personal insight on this, schedule for your reading, you heard? So we can get behind the scenes and do the real work. Understand that.